Hey everybody, I am the Kunark and welcome to TBC Plays. Well, Yelinak has been out now for over 6 weeks. Where has that time gone? Everyone's level 50, everyone's pretty much done everything that they need to do in Classic, so it's time to start looking at what is next. Now, with Yelinak is a standard TLP, which means the next expansion is the ruins of Kunark, where this fantastic artwork in the background comes from. What do we get in Kunark? Well, we get 10 more levels, a whole bunch of new zones, and of course the epic quests, as well as some of the more contentious keying in Everquest, and that is the Vishan's Peak key, which we will cover in another video. But today, what I thought would be to put a video together on where you're likely to go to reach level 60. In my opinion, on a TLP, level 60 is your first priority, then it's kind of like your epic and the VP key, but getting level 60 is super important because it does make the raids so much easier. And in Kunark, there's really only two options where you're going to be leveling, and one is far superior, and that is either going to be Chardok or Sebelis, with Chardok being, in my opinion, the far superior zone to level to 60 in. So, without any further delay, let's get right into it. Welcome to TBC Plays. I'm the Kunark. Ruins of Kunark is the first expansion for Everquest, and I'm going to show you where to hunt, what to kill, what loot to aim for, and how to complete those hunter achievements. Chardok, buried deep, a big castle deep within the Burning Woods. Probably the first zone you'll come to, which has a separate zone in and zone out. Just a quick oddity about the zone there. In my opinion, is probably the premier leveling zone within Kunark for levels 50 to 60, just because of how big it is. I mean, look on the map, it's absolutely massive, and that's a good thing because this zone can support a lot of groups here without too much of that kind of contentious kill stealing, spawn stealing kind of going on, because they're so far apart, majority of the groups. You're gonna have absolutely no problem finding mobs. The best camp, Kennel's camp, fantastic respawn. That should always be the camp you're aiming in for, certainly if you have an enchanter and or a druid within your group. The zone itself can be a bit of a maze, and it can also be a bit of a pain to get to the camps, but that's one of, I think, the really good things about Chardok is you can actually earn a decent amount of XP whilst you're killing on your way down. And magicians also get Call of the Hero in Kunark, which means getting replacements for your group when you're deep within the zone isn't so much of a huge issue anymore, because your mage can just summon them right into the zone. So I will show you some of the common level paths and camps and how to get there, because it can be a little bit confusing, certainly if you've not been to Chardok for a long time, and we'll look at those in a little bit. This is also a fantastic zone to get kind of some loot, a lot of spells, a lot of Kunark spells kind of drop in here. But also it's one of the first zones where faction can actually really matter, and there's so much benefits for doing some factioning, like the Ring of Dizog, but that's a video for another day because that is a quite a convoluted quest to get. Some of the best times I've had in Kunark is when I've not been KOS in Chardok, when I've been friendly. And you get friendly by killing lots of goblins and turning in goblin skins. But it's such a fun zone just to be able to run around and not be KOS to any of the mobs in here. Which is good because it lets you snipe off some of the names as well if you can get to that point. There are also a couple of, I'll call them raid mobs, but they're not really, because they're not very hard, and that's in terms of the royals who live deep within Chardok itself. Even in Kunark, they can be done by as little as one group, really, if you know what you're doing. They're not very difficult, but there is no DZ what I mean by that is there's no instance for Chardok. So if you're wanting to do the royals, and you will have to do the royals if say you're a cleric or warrior, because you need those pieces for your epic, your guild will do it, but you will have to do it in open world because that's the only place that they spawn. But they also spawn in picks, which is such a relief. So every single pick will have the royals up eventually, and you can go around and you hopefully you'll find one and be able to get done what you need to get done. But it can be in those first couple of weeks, they can be very, very busy. They can be getting killed very quickly. I'll give my opinion on the zone at the end of the video after we've looked at kind of what camps, the loot and all that kind of good stuff. But it is a zone that I initially do enjoy coming to, and you know, I think after being stuck in the very, very claustrophobic, for the majority, dungeons of Classic, having that little bit more space and a little bit more open, a little bit more of an intricate design is very, very welcome. And this is still early Everquest, so you can really see the design changes that they made to bring in more atmosphere and not just make it kind of those kind of box cube corridors of say Sol A or Sol B or even like Lower Guk. It's much more open, it feels like a real zone. And there's like little things that I love about this zone, such as the off-duty area where the Sarnax kind of go to relax. It's just those kind of little touches that make it feel more like a city where the Sarnak would kind of live in and do that kind of good stuff. There's also a bank and a vendor if you're not KOS as well. And again, nice little touches. I don't know what other MMO out there would put like a bank and a vendor inside in the middle of a dungeon for those rare people that decide to do their faction. But we have them here, and again, nice little touches that I really like and love to see more of. Now, as soon as Kunark launches, there'll be people waiting for the translocators to pop, and that's because a lot of people are going to be racing to 60. Getting level 60, as I said earlier, is very, very important to do it early because it does make the raid so much easier. And Chardok really is the zone to do it in. A lot of people will go to Seblis, but Seblis is slower. One, you have to mess around getting the key first for everyone in your group, and the level range isn't quite as high as here, and a lot more of them are like annoying casters that stop and so on. And the I don't think the zone experience modifier is quite as high in Seblis either, although Seblis is a solid pick because again there are some nice little items that drop there, and there will be some spells that you will have to get from there as well. Well, let's now jump in and have a look at some of the primary camps that you will be coming to if you are leveling and getting XP in Chardok. Alright, to get to the majority of the camps in Chardok, from the zoning, you're pretty much always going to follow the same path, and I want to show you the path that I personally like to take. There are others, but this is the one that I like to try. Occasionally you do see people camping here, the castle entrance, not many, and it's not something that I like to camp because you get trains running through and all that kind of stuff, and lots of people going through all the time. There is a named up there that can drop some nice stuff, but they're the lowest level mobs in the zone, and you're always having people passing by, so I typically give that one a skip. So I like to come this way. The only issue is there's mix of both live and undead along here, but if you're very, very quick and you run to this bridge and then jump off, you will actually lose that aggro. They won't get to you, so it's generally fairly safe just to run like crazy and make it here. Now, once you get here, this is like an area I like to call the freeway, and there's a few different ways that you can go to kind of get to your camps and take you further in the zone. So kind of looking in this northwardly, is it northwardly or easterly direction? If you were to take the left there, it takes you down to kind of where the kennels are, and east brings you up here to the bridge camp, where monks will be hanging around to get the pipe. This is a common spot for a camp, the bridge camp. You'll often see people here grouping and getting XP, because you do get a lot of names. You can pull all the mobs on this side and into one of the better rooms in the zone, in here, where they seem to sacrifice traitors to the Yelinak cause, but there's a lot of names in there. There's like 4 or 5 names that can spawn, plus you've got 2 that spawn here in terms of the epic and the bridge keeper as well, so there's a lot of opportunity. If your group's sufficient, you can also pull down this way towards the graveyard. This is the graveyard now. Really good camp, especially if you've got necromancers in, because there are a lot more undead. Typically this spot right here is where groups camp, which is right on top of the named, and you're going to be pulling all the mobs in this direction as well. This is like the castle where the royals are, so there's quite high level mobs here. You typically don't see too many groups going into here because it is a little bit more of a pain. You need to get the door unlocked. You can't illusion through doors anymore. It has to be opened, and there is no key, so you either need a bard or a rogue, and you need to clear through all these guards, which can take a little bit to get into the library. And I typically occasionally see groups here as well, because the Grand Librarian, we can really drop a super nice item that if you get, you should probably put a ticket on for the lottery that night. Primarily that's your kind of camps on this side of the zone, and like I said, that's enough for 2-3 groups easily, and that's just one little section. Another camp from the bridge that I like to go to, which I think is a bit underrated, to be honest. So you're at the bridge camp and you just jump off and go all the way down, and you got a nice little staging area up on the ledge where the mobs can't get you. So again, if you come to this camp, you can just run straight down from the zone in, and the mobs will leash. They'll never be able to get to you, so it's a pretty good run down. And you can stage up here, and this camp is called the Bank, and I do feel like it's an underrated one because you've got a lot of options to pull from. You got the inside kind of bank in there. You can skip through the waterfall towards where kind of like the kennel and the off-duty area is, and there's herbalist over there. So you have a lot of mobs, and I think it's a very underutilized camp. Not many people kind of come here. It's a camp that I would probably target for launch on a new TLP, just because people don't tend to think of it. They go for the bigger money kind of camps of kennels, which I'll show you next. But from the drop down again, we go in the same way, kind of out. We always come this way. This is why I like going that way, because it always brings you out of the same spot, and then you can make a decision whether to go right to the bridge and those other mobs, or you can turn left and head down towards the further in camps. And like, this is what I said about clearing in. Clearing down to these camps, there's a lot of mobs, and that's a lot of XP, and they're just as high level, so you can easily get 20-30% of the level even before you get to a camp. But it can take you easily 20-25 minutes to get down if you are clearing through all of these, and they can be seen viz up along the route as well, so it's not always safe to do it. And there's the occasional undead as well, so not an easy zone to try and skip through like that and rush to a camp. Underboss, occasionally see a group here right at the northeast point of the map. Not one I typically like to come to because pulls are long and there's only one name, but it is an option if everything else is camped. And as we run along again, you'll see lots of chocodies. I call them chocodies, but there's herbalist, and this is again a really nice camp, and a camp that Necros will be coming to because the Manisi herb drops right here in this hut. And again, there's a lot of names in this area, and a lot of XP, and a lot of options to pull from the bank, to pull from this way as well. And then this camp is over under. Typically I see groups popping down here on this little freeway, kind of in between over and underboss, so the overseer and the underboss spawn, and you can get those as they spawn, and you can be pulling all the way through the north sections as well. So lots of mobs. This is probably one of the more like contested camps now in the zone as we come down towards Kennel, which is the best camp for XP, bar none. If you are rushing to get to level 60, this is the camp that you want to spawn, because the respawn is ridiculously fast. It's such a nice camp. The pulls are short, everything kind of spawns like right there. You need to have a good group for it though, because you typically camp back where we were, where the two red like truck dies spawn, and ideally with 1 or 2 charm pets to kill through this faster. So right there is where you camp and where you pull to. Lots of mobs. You got a couple of names with Deathfang, with the Kennel Master. This is the premier camp of the zone, and in my opinion, the premier camp of XP in Kunark for getting to level 60 fast. Now, we went through those quick, but really with Chardok, once you know how to get to one of the camps, you know, you kind of know how to get to them all. You jump down, you either turn right or left. So some of the mobs you're going to face in Chardok, you got a bunch of these Chocodies in green or red flavour. I like the red, and I wish the Beast Lords could have theirs in red, but you know, green is the traditional colour of the Beast Lord pet. Some of these seem very annoying. Good DPS. Druids, you are going to be in demand here because you can charm these things as well. The low level ones make for fantastic little pets. Enchanters generally go for something a little bit better, but really good options for druids. And they can range from the lowest area of the zone at the entrance all the way through to Kennel, where Deathfang is. Undeads, Necros, you can charm a lot of these too, so there's opportunities for you here to do some charming. Nothing really much to say about the undead. They're your typical undead. You need IVU if you want to get past them. Mostly in the graveyard, and some of the enslaved miners typically at the over under in the tunnels towards the north. But something new is the Ixar undead skeleton model, and it's really, I like it. I think it's a really good idea that, you know, not just having a human skeleton, they went with Ixar and Sarnak skeletons as well when they made this. And again, it's nice just to have that little bit of variety. Golems, not too many of these around, and they're mostly at the bridge or on outside guarding the castle. They come in variety of sizes, like the bridge keeper is absolutely massive, and some of the golems and guardians are otherwise a lot smaller, nothing much to say. And then you have all of these, the Sarnaks, all the way from kind of the lowest level underlings. There's casters, there's warriors, there's all kinds of classes that they are, that some will really dot, some will just be tank and spanks. And then you got the royals up there as well. You know, they got the Overking, Queen, and at the back there is Prince, who do their own abilities, and we'll cover those in another video. Again, we got Crypt Masters, Herbalists, whole variety. There's lots of variety. There's not a lot of variety in model. It's 1 or 2 with differences in size. But it's the differentiate between the casters, which are kind of wearing this like red kind of shirt, and the kind of the more warrior melee-esque ones are just in like the gold armor. But other than one tiny little rat man, they are the mobs that you will be seeing inside Chardok. So now let's have a look at some of the loot and achievements that you can get while hunting in Chardok. The first names you'll probably see in the zone is right by the zone in that little castle, and that's Captain Deuz, and he can drop a little range item, all like stamina, HP, mana, 25, and a decent amount of disease resist as well, so that's a nice little item. And he also drops a snare earring, which is for druids and rangers. 4.5 second cast time, but it's a free snare, which you don't have to be wearing. It can be clicked on your inventory as well. So a nice little utility that you can pick up for druids and rangers. Watch Sergeant Rizul, who shares a spawn point with the captain, also has a couple of items of his own. We got kind of these boots, little interesting things, and some sleeves which are alright. Lots of classes can wear them. It's probably an upgrade for a box if you are passing by. And open the door on the way to the bridge, and you may find Watch Captain Hurul. He drops a nice little earring again for druids and shamans, which casts Scale of Wolf, a nice little fun clicky. There's quite a few of those in Chardok. And this random earring for magicians with Everfont. This one's not quite as good. Jade Inland Spaulders are a nice little item as well if you're going to be picking up, which are all and have a bunch of mana on them. Can't miss this guy if he's up. He's absolutely massive, and he drops a Jagged Blade of Morning, which again might be an upgrade for you at this point. Can't miss him. He's massive, and he drops an Enchanter Ring as well. Interesting, you can wear it on an earring or your finger. It's a multi-slot item. Settling into the room down here, because there's absolutely loads of names, is Korokust's Courier. It's the first one we're going to be looking at, who drops this rather interesting cape. The cape I've always liked to grab on Enchanter because of the HP and the intelligence and the stamina, lots of hit points, which you kind of need as an Enchanter, but you know, it's pretty decent all the way along if you can grab it. And just a reminder, we don't have the focus effect, so you can ignore all that text. Those are not active until the Lucklin expansion. But other than that, he drops a one-time use potion that takes you to the over there, which can be handy to get to if you need it. And of course, any of the names in here can drop some spells as well, which you'll want to get. Next up in this room is the Arch Inspector Nibliski, who has an alright one-hander. You know, probably not going to need it for very long because you'll be replacing it with your epic, and a little earring with an absolute metric ton of stamina on it. The Pearly Sarnak Bauble, 35 HP, 2 AC, 10 star, and some resists as well. It's a nice little tank item. But it is the rare item, so it's going to be hard to find, and again, you're going to be getting spells from him as well. The name nobody thinks is a name, but actually is a name, but doesn't have a name, is a security advisor who can drop these legs. Not brilliant, but not like terrible. Absolutely loads of AC on them, so for those kind of tank classes, really nice to see that AC. Big number there. And now the smallest Sarnak in the zone, Interrogator Grimlock. Find it interesting that they made the Interrogator the smallest one. It's like he's inflicting pain on his subjects for whatever reason, who knows, maybe he's making up for something. But he drops a couple of items as well, again mostly box items, but this clicky's kind of nice. It's Gather Shadows, it's a 2-second cast time for Invis, which is nice. Again, utility items, quite a lot of these in Chardok, but this can be useful, and it saves a slot on your spell bar as something you can click from your inventory as well. This skeleton that's buried in the ground is apparently Battle Master Skatu. He drops some gloves, which are not very good, and then for Shadow Knights and Necros, another nice utility piece, which is a clicky bobbing corpse, which gives you like that poison, resist, and levitate. So that's a pretty handy one to pick up. Grave Master Zolun. He can drop a very nice range item for casters, 10 in, which is a lot, and some disease and poison, which is always good to have. And the clicky is very situational, and it still takes a reagent as well, so not massively useful, but I would definitely grab it for the 10 stats on in. And he drops some basically 10 all resist gear as well. If you're looking for resist gear, this is not a terrible pickup for a shoulder piece as well. And he has this enchanted earring, but it's probably one of the weaker ones, and it's not something you're going to use, having a clicky feedback. I mean, it's not a good DS to begin with. An Imperial Gravemaster. Now, I was going to mention this guy really quickly because he is on the hunter list, but he makes a really good charm pet. A lot of people don't take him, and it is a PH for the Grand, for the other Gravemaster, but he makes such a good charm pet, so especially for Necros. So if you see this guy, I'd pick him up as a pet. You might upset the group, but you're going to be doing a lot of damage with him as a pet. Lawmaster Pizatak drops a book, History of the Dizog, which is not very good at all, so don't pick it up. And then we have Grand Lawkeeper Kino Shaidin, who, if he drops this Spirit Wreck card, congratulations, you've won the lottery. Go get a ticket tonight because your luck is insane. I have seen him drop them, and he can, and it saves you doing that really long quest with them as a reward at the end. Yeah, you get the rings too, but this item's so good, you're going to be keeping it for a little while. If he drops it, I mean, ring-a-ding-ding, I guess. Man Kolul. You'll find him down near the bank. He drops this caster face piece. It's not very good, it's probably better for you already. And then that, and a little tiny Necro Stabber with a 10 in, which is not bad. I mean, you're going to be getting your epic fairly quickly, so it's not going to see an awful lot of use, but has bone shear, that's pretty cool. And he also drops the Sarnak prayer beads for casters. Yeah, don't know what's going on with them, but if you need a range item, pick them up. A Sarnak Collective Auditor drops a Stave of Shielding for, it's really good on monks, really, who don't typically get many buffs. Yeah, it's not great, but it's a nice little buff. And the Girdle, again, nice stats, it's a nice haste item, but for the wrong classes. Like, why do those classes need haste? Yeah, they don't. The Ixar Hide Manual, which is a nice pickup, really good for range. I mean, look, 45 mana, 5 in. Definitely seek him out for one of those for your casters. You're not KOS and you need to bank, there's a banker. How cool is that? Can't kill him though. And there's also a merchant, which again, really cool if you've been killing down here, you're not KOS and you need to do some vendoring, he's right there. Drill Master De Rule. Now he drops a bow, and it's a bow that you can shoot arrows with. He's got nice stats, to be honest. You know, 10 strength, 5 stamina, it's pretty good. I had to see how that compares to the bow the underfoot, but I do like it's got HP on it as well. The Grand Herbalist Makha, he drops a Manisi Herd for the Necro Epic. None of his other drops really matter because that's the one that Necros will need to get and will be looking for. A Alchemist's Acolyte, another name that's not a name, but that drops stuff. He has an interesting loot table. He drops the Vile Sarnak Brew, which is stat food. So you don't actually want to drink it to get the stats. That's not how it works. But you want to put it in your slot and kind of, or just have it in your first slot. I think that works, but you never want to eat it. And he drops the Ring of Dizog 2, which is a nice little stat ring. A Wizened Herb Collector. He, along with his buddy, likes to take his food with him, and he drops a sandwich of foul smelling herbs, HP 55 stam. Tanks will want to pick this up and never eat it. You have to be really careful not to eat it because then those stats are gone. Overseer Dalgur over at the Over-Under Camp. Really nice little area to hunt in. He drops it, it's a high cape, and he drops the this lovely halfling mask, which is illusion halfling for use that can wear it, and he drops a nice little backstabber as well if you want to pierce a decent amount of strength and stam on it. Again, rogues will have their epic because it's the easiest epic ever. And after the other boss is the Underbots, who drops Tattered Flesh Veil. That's a nice pickup, lots of nice stats for face for casters. Eno Master Al LA, he drops the Hammered Golden Hoop, minus 15 AC, which is gross, but lots of stam and HP, and then the Ixad High Cap, which is a nice head item, AC HP in them, is really nice item for casters right there. Defang, he's the named Chokidai over in the kennels and drops Imperial Bulldog collar. That you definitely want to pick up for that effect. I know I said they're not in the game yet, but they are come Lachlan, so pick that up if you still need it. And he drops some polygons. Minus 10 strength, again, weird stats. They're pretty not great. Not the XR trustee, but an XR trustee. He spawns right at the top northeast of the zone and drops a cleric and shaman earring, which has a counteract disease, which could be useful. He also drops a counteract poison as well. Situational, 5-second cast times, not the best, but there could be some raids where you're clicking it. Foreman Murtak. He drops a belt. Decent belt. No complaints for me on that girdle. And he also drops this bracer, 10 charisma, which is a crazy amount. You know, pick one up if you want to do some buying and selling. Observer Actus. Now, this one was very annoying to get to spawn because he seems to path around. Either way, he drops a shoulder item. I don't mind this shoulder item. Again, a lot of the stuff here, it's just middle of the road, and this is a middle of the road shoulder piece. 5 int, 5 stamina, 25 mana. If you can find him. He's annoying. Took me forever. Alright, the last topic I want to look at today is the quest that you can do whilst you are in Chardok. So, Vishan's Peak Key, you have to come all the way down to near over under, give Niblik a ruby and a black sapphire, and you will get the piece of the medallion, probably one of the easier pieces of the VP key, but you do have to work your way down to Niblik to get it. Also, while you're here, make sure to pick up your burnished wooden stake. Grand Herbalist Makar, again, the Manisi herb for your Necro epic. This guy's going to be fairly camped, certainly for the first few weeks. It's going to be hard pressed to get him open, but Necros, you do want to pick up that really as soon as you can to get your epic done. Also on epics, clerics, so you're going to have to stop by with a couple of friends and kill Overking Baifzid to get your Singed Scroll. Now, there's ways to do this. Most guilds will just roll in with 3-4 groups of people and just flatten it. It is very, very possible to kill these with 2-3 characters as well, so it's really how much effort you want to put in. But these guys are very, very easy to kill, to be honest, as long as you kind of know what you're doing, even if you're only 3 characters. He also does drop a couple of other loot while you're here, killing him, which you may as well want to look at. The BP, which is kind of nice, has the shadows, and the money drop, and the big money drop that I always like. If you're going to be here killing Overking, rare chance to drop these gloves. Never make it a hammer, that's stupid. The gloves is the chrono drop, and he drops an Argent Protector, which is a kind of a famous EQ item in and of itself. A lot of people had it back in the day. And while we are talking about the royals, not really like massively like looty, but you know, they do have some nice loot. You know, they got the Insignia Protector again, which is a secondary shield for casters, which is a really nice secondary. You know, it's going to go really well with your epic in your main hand, certainly with the int and the mana and the massive amounts of AC for a caster. I really love that item. It's a pretty cool shield that comes from the queen, and if you can win down to kill the king for your cleric, then you might as well swing round for the queen and pick up something for the casters. But it does also drop the Ancient Blade, which is for the warrior epic. Every warrior will for certain need this. Every warrior will have to come down to the queen and kill her. You're going to need again a few groups of people to do it more than anything. And drops a helm, but that's you know, a warrior shadow knight. Quite a lot of AC. bit of intelligence. Maybe a Shadow Knight might wear it, but probably not. It seems like it's the junk prize of her loot. The greenish metal shard from a Alchemist Acolyte is part of the Green Mist quest chain, which sadly is an underused quest chain because of epic availability and epics just being a lot easier to get these days than what they were. These kind of quests aren't done as much, but yeah, it's a nice quest chain which is totally full of lore, so I would still recommend doing it. Alright, underneath a Dizog Sergeant you'll see a bag, and this bag is part of the Shackle quest for monks. A really long, great, fun quest to do, and I'm going to cover it in more detail, probably start to finish, because it is such a fun quest. Kunark really brings in these kind of what I call that, the archaeologist quest, that I would recommend doing if you don't really need the item, because there's so much lore, and there's the Trocadie scale that you need as part of that. Like I said, full video coming. I'll probably go over like the Green Mist, the Shackle, the Skull Cap quest for necromancers, and try and look at some of those archaeologist quests as well. So as I said earlier, Chardok is really the zone that you want to come and level in Kunark to get to 50 to 60 first and quick. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you should. There's a ton of items and content to see as well in Sebelis, and if you're someone that's not rushing, go get your Seb key, have a look and see what drops there. We'll have another video coming soon where I'll cover Sebelis so you'll be able to see. You could also do the first couple of levels as well in the hole. I don't like doing that, although you can hit the ground running and get the first couple of levels really quick. It does really slow down. But ultimately Chardok is the best place to be. If you can be that group with 2 charm pets in the kennels at 51, you are going to absolutely fly with XP pots going. The problem I have with Chardok, even though I really like coming here and I like hunting here, is I think it gets a lot of love later on. It gets a revamp, it gets Chardok B. Is once I've leveled 50 to 60 here, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm fed up of Sarnax, I'm fed up of the whip sound, I am fed up of the brown palette, and I just don't want to be there anymore. So I try and get as much of it done and not always go to the same camp and see different things whilst I'm leveling, because if I'm spending 10-12 hours in kennels, I'm gonna go insane. I like to move around and see different things, and at least try to keep it fresh and see something different and get some different loot. And you're going to need to, especially if you want to get your spells without having to pay for them, if you want to get some of those utility items as well, and pick up those epic items while you're at it as well. So there is more to the zone than that 1 or 2 camps. Like I said earlier, I really like the bank camp. I think that's an underutilized camp. A lot of people like going upstairs at the bridge because of the room with the 5-6 names, and I get it. That's a good camp too. I like doing the over-under camp as opposed to kennel sometimes as well, for, like I said, that bit of variety and at least seeing some skellies. And again, the graveyard's great for that as well, and a few different things like. But ultimately, you do 10 levels here, you are done. You are over it. But then what I like to do is to go to Droga and Nurga and farm factions so that I can come back and be friends with the Sarnax and be able to wander the zone to my heart's content. I think that's a really cool mechanic that they start bringing in early Everquest, is factions and how important that is. So I'll go and murder thousands of goblins, turn in their skins and become non-KOS, and that's really when you can start having fun in the zone, when you can just wander around without any care whatsoever. Nothing will attack you. So everyone, that's Chardok, pretty much covered off. A fantastic zone. Not really an awful lot to talk about it because it kind of is what it is. A fantastic place to level. A few quests to do. Lots of spells to pick up. Utility items like crazy. I don't know what they were thinking when they itemize this zone because it's all kind of fun little utility items all over the show. Hopefully you get torpor, hopefully you get dead men floating for your necros. That's kind of the stuff that you're aiming for. But it's a zone that, you know, can easily handle 5 or 6 groups, and there's just not many of those at this point in Everquest. And with the upcoming Kunark expansion on Yelinak, I would expect to see day 1 15 or even as much as 20 picks of this zone, because everybody will come here. Why? It's quicker than going to Sebelis. You don't have to mess around with a key, and the XP here is just faster. You will get on your curve faster, especially if you can get to one of those awesome camps such as kennels. But like I said earlier, just because that is the most efficient and it is the quickest doesn't mean you necessarily have to do that. There's a lot more content to explore in Sebelis, for example. So gonna have more Kunark content coming out as we progress through the next couple of weeks and into the launch of Kunark. There is a couple more zones that I definitely want to cover off. There's loads of really, I think, cool quests in Kunark that I do want to cover, such as, like I said, the Green Mist, the Monk Shackle, the Necro Skullcap, but also some of those quests like the Dizorga ring quests, and that not many people get to do, and they can be pretty toxic on Yelinak to complete because of how it works with the 3-day spawns and the 24-hour spawns. But there's things that you can do. I've done those quests before. I did them on Aradun. I didn't actually have that much of a problem doing them on Aradun, and maybe I'll do it again on Yelinak. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. What I do know is I am looking forward to Kunark on Yelinak, and I hope that you are too. Let me know your thoughts about Chardok down below. Is this a zone that you like to come to? Is it a zone that you have fond memories of? Are you looking forward to coming here on Yelinak? Shameless plug for the guild. We do have a guild on Yelinak right now. Stop Yelinak Me. We're a PST guild. We've cleared all the content. If you're a PST player, I'm talking like evening, like Pacific time, check us out. Discord link is below. The more the merrier. We're having a lot of fun with that, so please do look us up if you are interested in exploring Kunark with us. Other than that, usual links below, Twitter, Patreon, all that kind of good stuff. I enjoy making these videos. I do it for fun more than anything else, and the best thing that any of you can do really to help me out is just like and subscribe. That means the world to me, and I appreciate every single like and subscriber that clicks those buttons. Other than that, I am the Great Kunark, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.